Hey, hope you're having a good day. So, I wanted to shoot a video on the seven biggest life lessons I've learned over the last 7 years because I sent out an email about it like last year and I got a really good response, but I didn't make a video about it. So, number one is prioritize your mental health. And the reason why this is so important for me is because I suffered with depression all of 2018 as a result of not being able to talk about my problems. I always had an issue with even asking for help. And then when I eventually got around to working with a counselor, and the more we dug into it, I realized that I'd actually been struggling with, feeling anxious, feeling depressed, and really struggling with my mental health actually from a young age, even going as far back as like 7 or 8. And there's a number of different reasons for that. I, to be honest, don't really want to get into it. Like, I'm happy to share a lot of things, on YouTube or wherever, but there are a lot of things that I am gonna probably just keep private to myself forever. But the biggest takeaway for me really is that prioritizing my mental health has been really such a game changer for me, and being able to actually ask for help and realize that, like, oh, it doesn't mean that you're weak if you ask somebody for help. It means that it's actually a huge sign of strength to allow yourself to be vulnerable and to be able to go and work with a counselor or a therapist or whatever it is. So that's definitely one of the best decisions I've made over the last few years, working with a counselor. And I've done that on and off since the end of 2018. So I've probably done about 2 years in total. So yeah, mental health, number one for me for sure. Number two is training with a purpose and enjoying it. So, there's no point training or, working out or exercising if you're not doing something that you actually enjoy. So for me, when I first started training back in like literally April 19th, 2012, I was trying to figure out what I did enjoy. And then after a while, I figured out that I actually enjoy strength based training more. So I was doing like powerlifting style training for like 4 or 5 years. So, like deadlifts, squats, bench press, stuff like that. But then after a while, I realized, like, oh, a lot of those movements actually don't work well for my body because I ended up getting like shoulder issues from bench press, elbow tendonitis, knee issues from squats, having some issues from barbell deadlifts. So after a while, I figured out, like, okay, maybe I need to change things a little bit with training. And so now I've actually changed it a lot and I enjoy training a lot more. So now I do a lot more skipping, weighted push ups. I really enjoy weighted chin ups as well. But um, for some reason, I've got like a bit of a neck issue with that. Um, doing things like jujitsu, Muay Thai. In terms of specific exercises like back extensions work really well for my back because I had an issue where I actually had a hairline fracture in my L4. So, even like walking, playing golf back in like 2011 was like really painful. So now, like, having different exercises for my lower back, like back extensions on the floor where you lift your chest up, or using the back extension machine, doing single leg deadlifts. There's lots of different variations, but that's just to give you an idea. It's really important to train and actually enjoy it. And that's, I think, what has sustained me for the last 11 years, that if I'm not enjoying something, I'll just switch it up and make sure that I continue to train with a purpose and to have goals around that. Number three is, this was definitely not an easy one for me, but I think anybody can learn it like over time. And it's literally just taking one day at a time, because consistent effort over years and a long period of time yields great results. And there's this quote that I love: the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And to give you an example of this, like back in 2012, I finished secondary school. I was 18, didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. And then I was like, okay, you know what? The best thing to do is just take a year out, try and figure out what I want to do. I took a full year out, um, ended up not having a job for like 5 or 6 months, but then eventually did get a job to give me some money to, help with college and stuff. And then I did my degree, but then it wasn't until, the like end of second year, start of third year of my degree that I was like, yeah, I'd love to get into personal training, coaching of some type, because I've always enjoyed helping other people and see them see progress in whatever, it is. But then, like, as soon as I finished my degree, in May of 2016, I was like, okay, I've got my degree now, so what do I do? And it took another, it wasn't until it wasn't until March of 2017 that I started working as a personal trainer. And then it wasn't until May of 2017 that I quit my job in Elvery's working retail to do that full time. And, I've been pretty much self employed since May 2017, and it's now June 2023. So it's been 6 years for that journey in itself. But ever since I started going to the gym, that was in 2012, and that's what really kicked this off. So, this journey for me has been like 11 years now, and every year just gets better and better. But having that mindset of just taking one day at a time, and the way I like to think about it is like sharpening a sword. Like every day you're sharpening the sword, you're sharpening your skills, you're working on your skills, everything is developing. So different examples of that would be, getting better at sales, getting better at working with clients, improving your knowledge around nutrition, training, periodization, exercise science, biochemistry, like whatever the different topics are. Like just constantly getting better and better and better, and not being happy with where you are, but not being satisfied. I think that's a huge one, and constantly just focusing on that progression. Number four, going back to training, is trying out different exercises and finding out what works best for you. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I've had so many different injuries over the years. Like I tore the cartilage in my knee when I was like 14, 15, playing soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. And then also, like as I mentioned, had elbow tendonitis, even like playing golf before I started going to the gym back in like 2010, 2011. Had a lot of different joint issues like that. And then, when I started doing the powerlifting style training, as much as I enjoyed lifting heavy, doing like high bar squats and stuff like that really didn't agree with my knee. So to cut a long story short, what I found to work for me now is I have literally a handful of exercises that I know I can get stronger with and don't cause me to get injuries. So instead of doing high bar or low bar squats with a barbell, I'll do Bulgarian split squats with a dumbbell or kettlebell. So that's a single leg split squat. That does quads and glutes. For hamstrings, glutes, lower back, instead of doing heavy deadlifts, I'll do like a single leg deadlift, or I'll do back extensions holding like a plate or having my hands behind my head. For ab work, I'll do things like, weighted sit-ups or leg raises. For pressing, chest, shoulders, triceps, instead of doing bench press like I did in the past and really ruining my pecs and shoulders and stuff, I literally, the only movement that works well for me now is like a push-up with hands pretty close together, like inside shoulder width, hands kind of turned in like that. So doing weighted push-ups instead of bench press. And then for pulling movements, in the past, I would have done like bent over barbell rows and stuff like that. But now I focus on doing like single arm rows. And that's a nice bruise that I got from jiu-jitsu the other day. But doing like single arm rows, as much as I love chin-ups, because when I started training, I could do literally zero chin-ups, zero. Like I was so weak when I started. And over the years, I've gradually gone from, really struggling to couldn't even do one, up to doing like 45 kg weighted chin up. But now for some reason I have an issue with that. So I'm like, okay, like I'm just not going to do weighted chin ups. I'll try and rehab the area. And for the moment, I'm working on single arm pulling movements, whether it's, horizontally or vertically. And just doing different things like that, because everyone's body is different. So you need to figure out what works for you. Number 5 is failure is inevitable. So embrace it, learn from it, and move on. Like there is no win or lose. You only win or learn. And that's a quote that I learned from John Kavanagh, Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach. And this other, saying that I heard before, the master has failed more times than the apprentice has even tried. And when I heard that the first time, I was like, fuck, that is so powerful. Like that is like one of the coolest things I've ever heard. But failure is an important part of success. if you don't fail on things, if you're not willing to fail, you're not going to be successful. It's as simple as that. And I've fucked up so many times on so many different things. And yeah, I beat myself up about it for a short while, but now I've got to the point where like, okay, I know I'm going to fail. Let's try and make that happen as quickly as possible, learn from it, and then move on, and constantly getting better and just really try not to make the same mistake twice. Obviously, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but try not to make the same mistake twice. So that's been a huge kind of mindset thing for me. The next one, only train as hard as you can recover, because we really only have a finite recovery capacity. I found over the years that my body is actually quite sensitive. I can't train a whole lot. Like realistically, like at the moment, I can do two full body workouts per week, and then I can do maybe one or two jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai sessions. But that's it. If I try and do like two workouts and three jiu-jitsu sessions, like I'm toast. I could do it, but I'd just end up getting injured from it because the same, elbow tendonitis issues come back, or, with where I've strained my pec in the past, or with my knee, or whatever it is. So a big thing for me was trying to accept, like, okay, as much as I want to be Superman or Captain America, I'm not. Like, I have to just work with my body. And the most important thing is consistency. Beats intensity. So if I can do one or two sessions every week, keep learning, and do that over 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, over time, that's really going to start to add up. It's like compound interest with investing. That's another one that I should probably add into this list. But investing for me has been a huge one. Just things like, like ETFs, and not so much in crypto, a little bit, but only a small amount, probably like, 5 or 10% of what I have in terms of funds and stuff like that. But yeah, when it comes to training, yeah, a big thing for me was just really learning what my limits are. So right now I'm only doing probably like two workouts per week for like an hour, and then at least one jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai session per week. And then depends on how busy work is or how I'm feeling, maybe a second one. And then 7, and this is probably, I like, mental health is obviously super important, but in terms of my own success, freedom, money, being able to have a positive impact on other people, to be able to have more freedom myself, with my family, with my girlfriend, is having somebody to mentor you, because you will literally progress 10 times faster if you invest time and money learning from people who solve the problem that you currently have. So 2018 was the first time I made a big investment. I invested 2K, working with this coach at the time, and I learned all about like Facebook ads and how to set up the business correctly, and stuff like that. Learned about group training, so switched from one-to-one personal training to more of a group training method. Then in 2021, or no, in 2019, I did another kind of course, or working with a mentor, and that was like 3,000, I think it was like 3,500, something like that. Then that was 2019, and then in 2021 I went back to my first mentor, ended up working with him again for about another like 6 7 months, something like that. And then ended up investing about like 5K with him, and then was by myself for probably another 9 or 10 months, but then realized I still had a lot of issues and things I wanted to work on, and then joined another mentorship and invested 7.5K with them. And that was from July of last year, when I was living in Barcelona, to February of this year. So in total, I've invested just over like 15 or 16,000 in working with mentors, people who run 6 7 figure businesses. And honestly, like, it was a really hard decision to make at the time, because same as anyone else, I'm thinking like, oh, like, this is a big chunk of change, like this is a big risk to take. Am I going to see the return on my investment? And the answer is absolutely yes. And honestly, like, I'm very happy and proud of myself that I took that risk, because if I didn't, I honestly, I don't even want to, like, realistically, I probably wouldn't even have a business right now, because if I didn't learn all the things that I learned over the years about sales, how to set things up correctly, how to structure a business, how to bring people on in terms of, staff, or being able to, learn how to set up Google ads or Facebook ads or copywriting or, so many different things. If I didn't learn about that, I would probably be working for somebody else. And that for me is just a no go. Like I would rather almost I nearly probably not this extreme, but I'd rather die than work for somebody else. Like that's how strongly I feel about it, that I really, really have to be self-employed because I just enjoy the freedom of this and not being tied down by anybody, not having other people tell me what to do for some job that I don't even care about. Like I have to be self-employed because this is just who I am. And so that was like the biggest and probably one of the best things I've ever done. And I'll continue to reinvest in more, mentorships and stuff in future. So yeah, that was like seven of the biggest life lessons I've learned over the last 7 years. And yeah, hope it was helpful. Would love to hear some of your thoughts. What are some of the biggest lessons, or positives or negatives, things that you've learned over the years that have had a big impact in your life? Comment down below, and hope you have a great day.